What's up, YouTube? It's the Console Samurai with Grown Ups Gaming. And with E3's announcement, well, Square Enix's announcement at E3 last month, that Final Fantasy VII was finally going to get its HD remake that fans have been waiting for what, 10 years now? It got a lot of people talking. Not just about how excited they are about the HD remake that's coming, but it also got a lot of people talking about what Final Fantasy game should be next. And one thing I'm seeing a lot of is I'm seeing a lot of people who want Final Fantasy IX to get remade, which actually I think makes sense. Final Fantasy IX's 15th anniversary was just last week, and Final Fantasy IX is one of the more well liked on the PlayStation era. You know, a lot of people like 7, a lot of people like 8, but it seems like more people like 9. Maybe because they just enjoyed the fact that it went back to its old school roots, which was one of the reasons I liked it. But Final Fantasy IX is not my favorite. Final Fantasy VII is not my favorite. But I do understand remaking both of them. Final Fantasy VII is a different case, though. Final Fantasy VII makes more sense to remake, in my opinion at least, because, first of all, its graphics do need the most updating, without a doubt. You can look at all three of the PlayStation Final Fantasy games, and you can see that Final Fantasy VII is definitely the most graphically weak. Also, Final Fantasy VII has a special place in a lot of gamers' hearts because of the impact it had on gaming. You know, regardless of whether you think Final Fantasy VII is an overrated game, which, to be honest, I kind of think it is. You know, I liked 7, but it gets a lot more attention than it should get as just a game. But a lot of that comes from the fact that with Final Fantasy VII coming out on the PlayStation, at the very beginning of PlayStation's lifespan, it helped kind of catapult PlayStation into the position where it is now. And with PlayStation probably would have done fine without it, to be honest. They would have been fine. But Final Fantasy VII kind of cemented PlayStation as being a very viable gaming platform. And it also, Final Fantasy VII also, it kind of broadened gamers' horizons. It made RPGs a little bit more mainstream, which, you know, I really like the fact that they've become a little more mainstream. I don't like the fact that toward the end, in the more recent games, they've kind of lost their vision a little bit. That's a whole different issue. That's not even Final Fantasy. That has nothing to do with any of the games that they're looking at remaking. So I think it does make sense, other than the fact that you actually have people demanding that it get remade. Just from a logical perspective, it does make sense to remake Final Fantasy VII. But Tetsuya Nomura, the director of many of the Final Fantasy games, looked back and he said, you know, we've already remade Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, and 4. We announced the remake of Final Fantasy 7, but we skipped 5 and 6. And he really would like to go back and redo those, which kind of makes me happy because my favorite Final Fantasy game was 6. And I would love to see Final Fantasy 6 get a full HD 3D remake. You know, make it just update it, make it current. But again, as I said in my previous video about Final Fantasy VII's remake and all the changes they were talking about with that, which we still don't know what changes they're going to make. I don't want too much to be changed about the game because it's not the same game then. But I think it would make sense for them to start with PlayStation because there's less of a gap with the technology they used on PlayStation to now and the technology they used on Super Nintendo, a 16-bit console, to now. But tell me what you think in the comments down below. Is there another Final Fantasy game that you'd rather have them remake rather than 9? Do you want them to remake 9? Or would you have them rather remake a different franchise? Or not even do any more remakes, just focus on new games? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Once again, I am the Console Samurai, and I'll see you around.